My name is Jehoiakim. I am a potter. My hands know the earth, how to shape it, how to fire it, how to find the flaws within the clay. I have known Habakkuk since we were boys chasing lizards in the dusty streets of Jerusalem. His hands, they were never meant for clay. They were meant for a fist clenched against the injustice of the world. You must understand the time we lived in. It was a time of rot. The law of God was a forgotten story, and our own leaders, the men of Judah, preyed upon the weak like wolves. Justice was for sale. The righteous were punished while the wicked grew fat. And Habakkuk, he saw it all. More than saw it, he felt it. He was not like other men who could turn away. The world's pain was a physical weight on his shoulders. He would come to my shop, his face a thundercloud, his eyes burning with a righteous fire. He would pace between my pots, not seeing them, seeing only the brokenness of our people. "How can he allow it, Jehoiakim?" he would demand, his voice raw. I screamed to God about the violence, and he is silent. The law is paralyzed. Where is he? I am a simple man. I know my wheel. I know my kill. I did not know what to say. He wasn't just a prophet crying out for his nation. He was my friend, drowning in a sea of righteous anger, and I could not offer him a rope. His prayers became arguments, shouted at a sky that refused to answer, until one day it did. He came to me one evening as the kilns were cooling. The fire in his eyes was gone, replaced by a cold dread. He told me God had finally answered him. I felt a moment of relief, but it vanished as he began to speak. He said God was going to use a nation called the Chaldeans, the Babylonians, to punish us. He described them as a nightmare. A savage, ruthless people who worshipped their own military might, who swept across the land like a desert wind, mocking kings and taking whatever they pleased. I stared at him, my hands frozen on the clay. "Babylon?" I said. "They are a wicked, pagan nation, 100 times more evil than our own corrupt leaders. God would use them?" To me it was madness. It was as if he were saying God would use a forest fire to put out a candle. Habakkuk just nodded, the horror plain on his face. He had screamed at God for his silence, and God had answered with a solution that was worse than the problem. That was when he began his vigil. He told me he was going to his watchtower to argue with God a second time. "I will stand my watch," he told me, his jaw set like stone. "I will station myself on the ramparts. I will look to see what he will say to me and what answer I am to give to this complaint." He was declaring a spiritual war. As his friend, I feared for his sanity. I would bring him water and bread and find him just staring at the horizon, locked in a silent, furious debate with the Almighty. He had demanded justice and been offered annihilation. Now he demanded an explanation. He demanded to know how a holy God could use pure evil as his instrument. Days passed. The city went on with its corrupt business, and my friend stood on that wall, wrestling with the silence, waiting. Then one morning he came down. The storm in his eyes was gone. The anger, the fear, the confusion, all of it had vanished. He was calm. Not the calmness of a man who has given up, but the deep, unshakable peace of a man who has been given an answer, even if it wasn't the one he wanted. He sat with me as the sun rose, and he told me what God had shown him. He didn't have a new strategy. He didn't know how we would survive the Babylonians. The world outside had not changed, but my friend had. He looked at me and his voice was steady. "The proud will not endure," he said, "but the righteous person will live by his faith." Then he said the words that I will carry with me to my grave, the words that became his song. He said, "Though the fig tree does not bud and there are no grapes on the vines, though the olive crop fails and the fields produce no food, though there are no sheep in the pen and no cattle in the stalls." He paused and took a breath, not of sorrow but of strength. "Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God my Savior. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to tread on the heights. I am a potter. I know that clay must be broken before it can be remade." That day I learned that a man's faith must sometimes be broken too. My friend argued with God. He brought all of his anger, all of his doubt, all of his pain, and he did not let go. And in the end, he didn't get the answers he thought he wanted. He got something better. He got God,